Spring has begun, but the video games industry marches on. Even as more and more people go outside to play, there are still plenty of new releases for your Steam Deck. And you know what's cool about the Steam Deck? The fact that you can take the Steam Deck outside and play most of your games outside. And then people will turn their heads and be like, whoa, is that the Nintendo Switch 2? And you'll be like, no, this is a Steam Deck. But if you like this video or any other video I've made, please like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. And in the meantime, why don't you check out Off the Console? It's a brand new podcast created by me, Gardner Bryant, and Games Revealed, with guest stars occasionally. And while yes, it's on YouTube, it's also available wherever podcasts can be found, like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Check it out. Steel Hunters is a PvPvE free-to-play mecha game. You pilot a mech known as a hunter, and there are various different types of hunters you can pilot. Many of which are bipedal mechs, but some of which are inspired by different animals, you know, quadrupeds. This looks and sounds like the sort of game that may not necessarily run well on Steam Deck, but honestly, I've seen some people run the beta, and the beta actually runs pretty okay on the Steam Deck. It's a solid 30 FPS that kind of dips a little bit, but that is pretty playable, I would say. Steel Hunters launches in early access on April the 2nd. The ever-controversial The Last of Us Part 2 was headed to PC, remastered. And one has to wonder, will this game even run that well on Steam Deck? And I'm inclined to believe so. They have both Links's and Iron Galaxy working on the port. I am a little more optimistic that The Last of Us 2 will be working on the Steam Deck. I mean, The Last of Us ended up working pretty well on the Steam Deck and did deserve its verification rating. But it's going to be a bit of a nightmare if, at first, it runs like crap. And this is before we reopen some wounds, especially those that are traumatized because of the Joel in 1 scene. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. The Last of Us Part 2 releases on PC on April the 3rd. South of Midnight's an interesting one. It's a new action-adventure game from Microsoft, and it turned head because of its unique art style. The game runs at whatever frame rate you want, 30 FPS, 60 FPS, whatever, but the characters are animated like it's a stop-motion video. I am more curious about the combat because we didn't see too much of that and how deep the combat actually gets. We don't really have any information on how this game runs on the Steam Deck, but what we do know is that the minimum spec requires a 1060. There's a pretty good chance this game will run at 30 FPS. South of Midnight releases on April the 8th. Though if you really wanted to, you can buy the premium version and buy it to get 5 days advanced access. All in Abyss Judge the Fake is a blackjack simulator, but like, it's all anime and combat oriented almost. You don't get any special cards or anything, but you do get special powers that help you cheat in blackjack and ultimately win. It's very interesting to see Balatro start off this wave of casino-inspired games. I've actually covered this video in one of my Next Fest videos, and the game is finally coming out. And I mean, there's no reason to believe this game wouldn't run well on Steam Deck, and I've even tried out the demo on my Steam Deck, and yes, it ran really well on the Steam Deck. Big surprise, right? All in Abyss releases on April the 9th. The Talos Principle Reawakened is a remake of the very first game, and its DLC Road to Gehenna, all of which has been remastered and ported over to Unreal Engine 5. In addition to that though, it features brand new content as well as a new level editor. Despite Unreal Engine 5's reputation, this game actually runs pretty decently on Steam Deck, at least according to the playable teasers. On all low settings, you could hit like a 45 FPS cap. The Talos Principle Reawakened releases on April the 10th. Monaco 2 is a sequel to the original heisting game, though in this case, instead of being 2D, it's instead 3D. I've actually never played the original, so I don't really know how the game is supposed to be played, but what I can certainly see is that this game is going to run pretty well on the Steam Deck, at least it looks like it will. It has online co-op and local multiplayer co-op as well, but the big question is local co-op a good fit for the Steam Deck? It's hard to know. Monaco 2 also releases on April the 10th. Fubuki Zero in a Hollow Earth Hololive Alternative. Wow, that's a mouthful. This game actually had a Steam Next Fest demo last Next Fest, and I tried it on the Steam Deck and it runs pretty well. It's very reminiscent of something like Mega Man Zero. I will say the only real issue I have is that the HUD takes up so much of your screen real estate, and it might be a little too fast-paced for some people, but it was a pretty fun demo. It'll be fun for Hololive fans as well. Anyways, this game releases on April the 12th. Lunacid Tears of the Moon is a sequel to Lunacid, but instead of being made in the Lunacid engine, instead this is made in the actual Kingsfield engine. Is that legal? So apparently this is going to be free to play, so I guess that makes a bit of a difference. So this is more of a true throwback to Kingsfield, being, made in the same exact engine. And barring some unforeseen compatibility circumstances, I see no reason why this would not run well on Steam Deck. Lunacid Tears of the Moon releases on April the 12th, and it's totally free to play. Warside is basically Advance Wars. What more needs to be said? It looks like a lot of fun too, and this game looks like it'll be a perfect fit for the Steam Deck. Warside releases on April the 14th. Mandragora Whispers of the Witch Tree is a Metroidvania, though it seems to be more like a Souls-like in 2D form than a Metroidvania. It does look pretty fun, and it looks like it has a pretty extensive skill tree, one that really begs to be explored. I am quite curious as to how the Metroidvania aspects come into play, like movement abilities and whatnot. I suspect this game will run pretty decently on the Steam Deck. Not guaranteed naturally, but I think it stands a better chance of doing so. And this game releases on April the 17th. Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds Ultimate. I've actually covered this in a prior Next Fest video, but this is essentially an upgraded version of Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. It's an upgraded re-release featuring new balancing as well as an upgrade to Unreal Engine 5, though I'm not really sure how Unreal Engine 5 would benefit a game like this. Well, it just happened. The demo ran pretty well on Steam Deck, and I mean, come on, this is the sort of game that would run really well on Steam Deck. And yes, this game also releases on the 17th. Lunar Remastered Collection features both Lunar 1 and 2. These are classic JRPGs, and though I've never actually played these, JRPGs are a great fit for the Steam Deck, and this should be no exception. The game is also in widescreen now. The Lunar Remastered Collection releases on April the 18th. The 100-line Last Defense Academy is a demo I also covered on the Next Fest. It's being made by the same guys that made Danganronpa, and it certainly looks like it, though it's not Danganronpa. This instead being a strategy RPG. The demo also ran quite well on Steam Deck, so yeah. I'm inclined to believe the full game will run just as well. The 100-line releases on April the 23rd. Doll's Nest is yet another game I covered during the Next Fest. The game feels kind of like a floatier Armored Core of sorts. When I last tried the demo ran pretty well on Steam Deck on all low settings, though there were some uncontrollable stutters when you would, say, crash into a box or something like that. Doll's Nest releases on April the 23rd as well. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a modern take on the classic turn-based RPG. Yes, it features classic turn-based combat, but with real-time mechanics, such as pressing buttons and timing actions correctly. Like you can see in combat, you have to press an extra button on time to deal more damage. But what they should do is take it a step further. Make it kind of like Paper Mario's commands, or how everyone in Final Fantasy X has different commands for their overdrives. So part of me wondered if this game would actually run on the Steam Deck, but guess what? I've seen some videos of Deck Wizard playing this on the Steam Deck, and yeah, it looks like it runs pretty well. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 releases on April the 24th. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves made headlines because Cristiano Ronaldo will be DLC, like an actual playable character. But aside from that though, this is a new Fatal Fury. It's a sequel to Garo Mark of the Wolves, and honestly I haven't played that game in years. So the thing with fighting games is they need to run at a solid 60 FPS. They shouldn't dip substantially at all. And from what I've seen, the playtest plays at a mostly solid 60 FPS. There are some dips, but you probably wouldn't notice it unless you have the overlay on. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves releases on April the 24th. Yasha Legends of the Demon Blade is a top-down roguelike, much like Hades. I've actually covered the demo during the Next Fest, and it was pretty fun, and it also runs quite well on the Steam Deck. If you want more of my thoughts on this game, I would check out a Next Fest video. But aside from that though, Yasha releases on April the 24th as well. I've never actually played the original Phantom Brave, but I do want to try out the new Phantom Brave. You know, I could have sworn this game came out already, but what I didn't realize is that this game never came to Steam. Until now, that is. On the surface, it may seem similar to Disgaea, but instead of being grid-based like most SRPGs, instead it's a gridless map, meaning you have a radius where you can move and act. Being a turn-based strategy game means that frame rate isn't super duper important, but the new 3D Disgaea games run quite well, so I'm inclined to believe that this one will too. And plus it's like on the Nintendo Switch, so that makes a difference. Phantom Brave The Lost Hero also releases on April the 24th. I typically wouldn't cover gacha games, especially ones like Wuthering Waves, but I've been trying to make a Wuthering Waves tutorial for quite a bit now, and I just haven't had the time, and now apparently it's just coming out on Steam. which is good because it's a lot less work for me. I have heard reports that Wuthering Waves does run pretty well on Steam Deck. I don't know much about the syncing process, but if you already have an account, you might be able to bring it over to your Steam. But again, I don't know many details about this. But if you want to play it, you can already play it. But if you want it on Steam, you have to wait until April the 28th. Paradise looks like a weird one. It looks like this sort of GTA-like game. In fact, it might even be like GTA, but it's with AI and stuff. I saw this in the popular upcoming section, and to be honest, I'm not sure I'm feeling this game. I mean, I don't think this game's gonna run that well on Steam Deck. It looks like a more advanced version of GTA 5. And if you have like AI components, like, I don't know, I don't think this game is gonna run that well on Steam Deck. But hey, if it does end up running well on Steam Deck, then just let me know. But I'm gonna say this isn't gonna run that well on Steam Deck. But if you're still interested, this game comes on April the 2nd. So there we have it, the month of April. There aren't too many major releases this month, but there are some interesting releases out there. Most of these I feel should run on the Steam Deck quite well. You know, assuming there aren't any weird compatibility issues. It's a bit of a shorter video because there weren't too many games that grabbed my interest this time, or were worth talking about, to be honest. If you like this video, please press the like button and check out our other videos, and if you like those other videos as well, be sure to press the subscribe button and share the good gospel of high-tech lowlife with your friends. Furthermore, we have a community Discord for enlightened individuals such as you. And if you wish to further support high-tech lowlife, be sure to check out our Patreon page. Links in the description.